favorite way to go.
Okay, with the creative team of He, She, Us short film played at the LGBTQ plus festival with Jolene and Susan. My teaser of the film is basically the love of her life transitions. Is that a fair assessment to give a teaser to the film?
Yep.
Absolutely.
Excellent.
Okay. So interesting, obviously an interesting film. We don't really learn about it until a few minutes in, and then we don't really learn about it until they kind of she says that you're the love of my life, and then it's like, oh, okay, now we get it. That's when I first watched it. So
Slow reveal.
obviously, sorry, go ahead.
Slow reveal.
Slow reveal, that's what you call it. But it was good because you were already emotionally attached to the main character. We got to know what she does and the interesting life that she lives. And then all of a sudden, this man comes to talk to her about his fashion and how he looks. And it's like, who's this guy? And then all of a sudden, we realized that it was her former partner and who's transitioned. And now that's a lot to take, right? So then now we're on this journey about that. So where did this idea come from? It's a great idea for a
Thank you.
short.
Well, a couple years ago, first of all, we ran a theater company before we became a multimedia film company. And we had friends in the Ukraine that have had consecutive theater being performed in a bomb shelter basement since they got
Invasion.
bombed, since the invasion. And the artistic director reached out to me and said, "Would you mind writing a 10-minute play for our directing class? We can't promise that you're going to be chosen, but we do need material, and they can't get material. And I've been writing a lot, so I thought I'm gonna do something contemporary, and maybe it won't translate, but I feel like I've been an artist activist probably my whole life, you know, and and social issues are very important to me. So I kind of slept on it and woke up in the morning and wrote it and then sent it. And then a young girl said, "I love this. I want to direct it." She's 17. She was a first director. Come to find out, she had to run through the streets to get to the theater and direct. And then we talked on WhatsApp, and she said, "Thank you so much because this was saving my life."
And this is like bombs falling.
Yeah,
Okay.
so
Kiev.
it's Kiev,
Mhm.
Ukraine, and they did a streaming thing, and I was very touched. So flash forward a bit, I said we talked. Jolene and I always converse about what we're going to do next, and I'm like, let's make a film. I got to get back into Hollywood and get back onto IMDb, and we've got a lot of success with He, She, Us, and
As a stage play, it's been
a stage play was
Yeah,
produced several times and recorded several times, and then I turned it into a short screenplay, and then it won just a ton of awards, and then we said, let's just
let's
film
do
it,
it.
and that's what we did.
gotcha.
And this
In-
is coming on the heels of a couple of other projects we did because I really feel like they're connected the more I think about it. That were also social issue forward, which was also about gender, but in a different way.
Yeah, so we're kind of, we champion causes, and LGBTQ population is very near and dear to us, and have so many friends and loved ones, and that's we thought it was a powerful statement and a little bit of a twist on it. So it did a twofold thing, which was to kind of do an intro into Hollywood again after a long absence, and then do a project that we both felt good about.
and where did you and how long have you guys been working together for?
What was it, 2017?
2017, 2000, 2017.
And what's your
We
origin story? How did you meet and decide to collaborate
we
together?
Well, we were both going through kind of difficult times in our life where we had taken hiatuses from theater, which we've both been doing since we were children at different levels. We're both trained performers and writers and directors, and we've both taken a break. And there was an opportunity to work with an acclaimed Shakespeare director and scholar here in town in Ojai, California, where we're based. And ironically, we had both almost worked with him in the past years ago.
Because we'd been in San Francisco at the same time, but we never
Okay.
met.
And he had been he was a very prominent director at the time. And anyway, long story endless, we both couldn't resist auditioning for the Scottish play
Yeah, we're
as it is,
Shakespeare heads,
right.
and
And our scene was together.
we had a scene together, and we did kind of a backstage thing, and we really gelled, and
Click.
that was just that was it. And then it would kind of like ran away, and what was my little famous line to
Oh
you?
yes, you looked at me when after our first day of rehearsal, when we just met, and we were both like again coming back into theater after a break, and we were just finished a rehearsal and we're kind of backstage hanging out, and she just turns to me. We chit-chatted a little bit, and she looks at me and she says, in her kind of psychic way, "You and I are going to do many things together."
Oh,
And
okay.
we have.
There we have.
So you can think that is kismet or a little bit creepy, but okay, yeah.
We don't
But I
think
We
it's
guess
lean into
creepy.
it.
We don't think it's creepy at
It's
all.
destiny.
If you see my
yeah,
shirt.
exactly. That's what I mean. It's the lens how it was approached, right? So yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and
Exactly.
we had both come. I mean, we live in a town that was almost annihilated by a terrible fire, and so we were both kind of feeling it had been a month or two before, and we were just feeling the aftermath of that. And so people were coming together in community, as community often does,
Mhm.
in more in a deeper way, in a faster way. And so anyway, uh, forward from that, the last several years, we've done a lot of projects.
And it seems to me, I want to just touch on that element of community, Susan. We couldn't have done this film without our community. And I mean that both in the literal and the meta sense, because
Yeah.
we had dear friends contributing, people we'd been working with and mentoring and nurturing their talents throughout,
Hmm.
really, really step up in a big way. Like anything you need, I'm there juggling jobs and shows and family commitments to be present for us because we know we were doing this in a way where we needed a concentrated effort, all hands on deck for a very finite period of time to just like
Mhm.
everybody to give 110%. And part of what Susan creates when she directs is another kind of community of like minds. You want to talk
Hmm.
about that a little bit?
Well, we have a like multi-generational mentorship. So we opened up our crew, our cast and crew, to a lot of people we'd worked with in the past and give them a opportunity to find new skills or hone some old ones
Sure.
on the shoot. So it literally could have been like a 9-person shoot. It ended up being a 30 crew
Oh,
crazy.
wow.
That's
Yeah,
impressive.
but and yeah, it was a lot. And we did it in 2.5 days. And because the lead actress is Australian. And so go ahead.
No, I was going to bring her up, but go ahead. Go ahead. I want to talk about her, but just finish your
So
point. Yeah.
she had a hard out. There's no way we could have made a mistake and kept her for another day. Like we
Yeah.
had to get her and go. And so on the set to also create community, we start in an indigenous ceremony to ground everybody, which is different than typical Hollywood. Get to the set, put your stuff down, and you might know somebody after a week of working with them at the catering truck. We were like, we've got really short time. We need to work as a unit. Let's create community in the circle as they come in on the first day. And I led them through
Ritual.
yeah, ritual.
It breaks down barriers, and then it's kind of like, those silly corporate game
Yeah.
team building exercises, only on a much more spiritual level, if I may. And it just people let their guards down, and just everybody stepped up. We had the location was donated to us by
A
just
friend of
a
mine.
very dear
Yeah,
friend that so it's pretty much everybody helping each other out, and
yeah.
from young teens stepping up to do their first film
16-year-old to an 87 year
to an
old.
87
Oh,
year
that's
old.
great.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's kind of
And
like,
they all were vetted. Sorry to cut you
no
off,
good
but everybody had to be either an LGBTQ
ally.
ally or in the demographic. So everybody was vetted beforehand, so nobody felt unsafe.
And one of the interesting things that I remember out of it is one of our crew, I won't out him, but he came up to me afterwards when we wrapped, and he's just a,
Straight white
straight white
boy.
guy, perfectly wonderful, lovely human being, but really not someone you would expect, to be in a project like this. And he just said how meaningful it was for him to work on this project, that
Mhm.
this was a message that needs to get out there. He was practically in tears. He's like, I hadn't thought about the marginalization of these communities, but it was just so wonderful to be a part of something that was meaningful.
Yeah.
And that in turn makes it worthwhile
Yeah.
for all the difficulty.
Yeah. So it's like it's the film. It's a really decent film. And there's also the process of making the film that was very healing for a lot of people.
Mhm.
And I just want to say one more thing
Yeah.
because I can't help myself. We talk about a 3-day shoot, but there was months and months of preparation.
Of
And I
course.
think coming from our theater background, where you've got to have everything locked in before you open,
Yeah.
we're really big into the prep. And like we know we've got to deliver and we're going to get all the work done. And the ADs that we had were phenomenal and really stepped up.
And we're learning on the fly, a
Yeah,
lot of
I'm
them.
saying that.
Like a lot of us learned on the fly.
We're learning on the fly.
I had a couple back to one moments. Like the key makeup was hair makeup was a friend of mine from the 80s, and I hadn't seen her in 40 years, and she just jumped on board. Things like
Fantastic.
that. Super cool. Not without issue, for sure. There was some stuff that came down that was like, oh gosh. But for the majority, I would say it was a really great outcome for what we did, including the lead actor Emmett, um, was a songwriter, singer songwriter, and hadn't been hadn't been writing for a long time and kind of in a funk. And so I asked him to compose the end song.
That's amazing. All right, so let's talk about your cast for a second. I'll talk about your crew in a bit. So Nicole Da Silva, I seen her and I recognize her. I'm like, but I didn't know. I'm like, I know this person. And then I remember her from Wentworth. Like she's an Australian, pretty famous. I can fair to say she's a very famous Australian actress.
Yes.
And how did you
Quite a
find?
fan
How'd
club
you
over
grab
here,
her?
though.
Like, what was her interest in doing this film?
We had a, go ahead.
Well, we had a producer that was part of it that knows her, and we just did an ask, and she fell in love with the script and was in America at a time that fit to a bookend of something else she was doing, and she said yes.
That's great. So it just kind of lucked out that she was in the States at the time because I know she's like a pretty like a working actor. So and she spends most of her time in Australia. So you kind of got her. That's why you had the heart out, I assume, right? Like she had to shoot her
Yeah,
scene. Yeah, yeah,
And yeah, there's a lot going on with people coming and going into the country right now. So it was
yeah.
it was really wonderful
I
that
heard. Yeah, yeah,
she was able to not only be present, but I mean be present, totally
yeah.
committed, professional, and really clicked with our lead actor. So lucky.
we had a couple rehearsals on Zoom prior to her flying out, and I could tell that their chemistry would be great. They're easy to work with, both of them, incredibly easy.
Because she's got the arc of the film, right? Because she's the one that is with the audience. The audience, like, I imagining this happening to us personally, that this would be very jarring and very shocking. And, and you can't take it personally. You have to take it, there's all these emotions that are going on, right? So
Yeah,
we're with her as an audience, and then she has the arc of that she's got to come to terms with this, right? Because Emmett's character is really kind of already he's already made the big move and
right.
off camera, right? So she's the one who
Yeah.
needs to grow and be the person that she can be by accepting this, I guess, right?
You absolutely understand the film, which
Yeah.
is, thank you. A lot of times when we get interviewed or we go to film festivals, like they don't really watch the film completely, or they not in the depth that this company has. And first of all, I want to thank you for that. Our feedback was
Amazing.
really beautiful and very much in detail. And I can't thank you enough for having a festival that does that. So that's really cool. This is the story of Astrid. It's a proof of concept short. So if we went back in time or forward, we'd be following her more.
Gotcha. Is the play so is the play a longer version then?
Mm.
No,
No,
just the
it's
first
all in
act
my
play.
head. It's all in my head. It's a 10-page play.
Oh,
10
okay,
pages.
okay.
Yeah.
There were
Yeah.
some things that developed during the working of the script and
Yeah.
logistical things that would happen, like with Lynn, the artist scene in the artist
Well, we
gallery.
added all the
It's
extra
all very organic.
cinematic
Mhm.
characters because we didn't have to just do a twofer on a stage, you know?
Yeah.
So we're like, if we're going to have this estate that we walk through, let's put people around, you know?
So that's pretty typical of how Susan works. Like we'll start with me too, I guess. We start with something and then we get inspired as we go. We just add layers of complexity because we can't help ourselves. But it's very cool to me in watching this film as it compares to others. There's some amazing films out there, but I can definitely see the extra imagination that Susan pulled into this for extra moments and extra beats. There's not a wasted frame in this. And I love that about you as a
Thank you.
filmmaker.
And then Emmett, obviously, not the easiest casting one would assume, right? Kind of finding the
Well, let's
right.
give a
Let's
big
give a
shout
shout
out
out to
to
Black
Black
Sheep
Sheep Casting.
Casting.
Okay.
So I won a short script festival prior, the year before or something, and met these fantastic women that ran a very inclusive, um, uh,
Festival.
yeah, the festival. And they're also casting directors, these three women. And so um, I spoke on a panel. We got to know them. I called them up and I said, I have got to find some trans actors. I am not going to hire a man for this that was born a cis-born male. I want to have somebody that's really experienced this. And honestly, what we thought we were going to get like two people, we got like 17 people from,
All very good.
they were all great, but we found that Emmett really, really hit all of the boxes on his audition.
Yeah, that's great. And then you said you did some Zoom like rehearsals with the two of them,
Yeah,
and it
yeah.
worked out.
Oh, yeah. Well, it predominantly they're so nice.
They're really good people. And,
Yeah,
it's like it was interesting because it was the first AD, Susan and I, that were watching the audition tapes. And we all instantly fell in love with Emmett and we thought he'd look great with Nicole. I mean, there was some great actors. I don't want to diss anybody.
for
We
sure.
were really surprised.
Yeah.
But he just had that quality that we
Yeah.
were looking for the character. And we're like, okay, now you get to see if you can work with him because that's the next level. And having worked with Susan as long as I have, she has amazing instincts on actors. And that was the next step for her to get to meet him on Zoom and talk to him and see if, and it was just a dream.
Yeah, and just like to be totally honest, not only was he talented and had the exact look that I was looking for, he's tall. And so we had these wonderful actors that were about 5'2", you know, and
Yeah.
we thought we could use them, that we got to fudge, we got to get the apple box. And I don't want to draw attention to a height differential
Yeah, of course.
along with having people have a reveal that this is really a trans actor that, you know, is in a trans role. And
Yeah.
so it's already going to pull with for that the subject matter. So I didn't want to add an extra thing, you know. So again, like literally every box we hit the jackpot.
So it's a good transition to your shot selection. So so you talk like chat with me about you're working with cinematographer, some interesting kind of exterior shots, of course, you kind of establishing the place
Yeah,
that is a lot of moving around with the actors.
yeah.
How did you do this? Did you like storyboard? Did you have like a distinct shot list? Like how did
Mhm.
you guys set it up?
I did. I'm a artist as well, so I'm used to storyboarding. Just in my head, I can, you know, do that. So I created a storyboard. The DP created a storyboard. We had lengthy discussions on what we wanted. She really wanted the shot in the window to where Nicole's face is superimposed on the mannequin,
Yeah.
and that's the shot that probably gets the most positive critique. My you know, we blended on the shot list and didn't get all of the things we wanted, of course. Things like that
Yeah.
always happen. It was 110 degrees. It
Mhm.
was unbearable to work in. There was some language differential between the DP and English is a second language, so I don't think she got everything that I was trying to get through. The long day's journey into night in the beginning was, I like that. We've had some feedback that it's too slow, it's too this, but I thought it was really nice. And then the trans musician that was playing in the beginning, I had just been to a rally like a week before and said, you've got to be on the set. So we kind of used the musician Tracy to
Bring
kind
that
of
in.
set the, yeah, bring in kind of like a
Yeah.
Pied Piper thing, and I'm I'm old cinema. I'm like, we're older, and we want to slow the movies down.
We
We're
want to,
not. I don't understand verticals and short, fast things.
we're not an
We're not that.
MTV, right? We
Yeah.
want to be drawn
Yeah.
in and create the tension and the mood.
And the mystery. I didn't want people to know what was going on right away,
Yeah,
and
of
that's
course.
gotten mixed
Yeah.
reviews. That's gotten mixed reviews. And then I wanted to meet people along the way, and so that was kind of my shot, was the opening flowy stuff. I
Yeah.
had interesting things that I came up with underneath the all those little tchotchkes. I wanted to get symbolism. I'm really into archetype, blah. So more of an art film
Mm.
esque that we had, to answer your question, Matthew, it was a combination.
So there's some good framing. There's some really cool framing in the film, like just the psychoanalysis. When the first time they confront each other, you got the cactus in the middle of the frame,
Thank you for noticing
right?
that.
Yeah.
So it symbolizes, it could symbolize a few things. As a male, it could symbolize something, but it's also, it's more of a divide between the two of them, right? They're on different
Yeah.
sides, I guess, right?
Yeah. I was art department, production design. So I pay a lot of attention to what's in the frame from
Yeah.
behind. Color scheme was very important. The red that was throughout was placed very distinctly for a reason. The cactus was placed for a reason. The
Yeah.
interior, all the little stuff was placed for a reason. Of course, we had to cut a lot of it out because of time. But yes, absolutely. The framing was there completely on purpose. Like we we were really happy with the location,
Mm.
even though it looks like an estate rather than I guess, an outside park. But
Yeah.
when you're on a shoestring budget, you get what you get.
Well, the like in like Phil like directing 101, if there's a divide between the two characters, you kind of give them their own one shots, and then you kind of cut back and forth. But I like how you did it, where you're like they're always in frame together, and it kind of sets up their dynamic that they're not separated, they're together. But the cactus is kind of is dividing them for now, but then
Yes.
symbolically you're not going to divide them in the frame, so they're always together in the same. You never separate them in the frame, right?
And yet you see them in a community. You see the
Yeah,
reaction, the public reaction, which I thought was brilliant, the way she pulled all that in. So all of those little reaction shots and the
yeah,
feeling together but separate from
yeah.
everyone
And then
else.
like he walks away, but then she follows him, even though it should be the opposite. Like he should be following her, but then at the beginning of the
You know
film,
how
right?
with partners you want to get the last word in.
Yeah,
We
that's what I
we
mean, right? But
and
at the
it's
same
very
time, it's like
the
if you don't care, if you think the relationship's over, then you don't walk, you let them walk away. You don't go towards them, right?
correct. And being what I do as my day job, I know couples really well. And it's that, the opposite of love is not hate. The opposite of love is indifference. And so, and we're both very theater people. So the scene is dynamic. One person's chasing and then it turns and the other one chases to create that uh, theatricality, I guess,
Yeah,
and keep it going. It's not just one-sided.
Right. And then the question is, do they want the relationship or don't they? There's ambivalence on both sides,
yeah,
even though he wants it on his terms. And
yeah,
she doesn't, but something is still keeping her attached.
Yeah.
So, and things are complex,
yeah,
and that's why we're showing this. So,
Yeah, I think it was a really ambitious project to get something in 18 minutes that showed a lot of layers and a lot of contemporary issues, that it's not just one, but there was a few in there that we tried to fly in. And yeah, I'm proud of it.
Funny.
So
Yeah.
then the location itself, you said someone helped like donated it to you. Did you guys art direct a lot of it? Did you add a lot of,
Did everything
Yeah,
as
yeah,
it
far
did
as
it all.
art direct. I
I mean,
mean,
we had a couple people working with
yeah.
us, of
yeah,
course, but
But Susan, all the pre-production meetings were, she listens to everybody's opinion. We all had our ideas, but she had a very strong vision for what this was.
mhm.
And since I'm backing her up on this, it was like, look, we can all have our say in the beginning, but it's Susan's vision, and our job is to implement that vision to the best of our ability. And I think everybody pretty much was on board with that.
Oh yeah.
And so we had to, the logistics of putting a film together and a crew and running all the details, that kind of fell on me, which is
Mhm.
fine. I mean, we do this thing. It's like, I need you to be fully in the, Susan did a lot
mhm,
of prep work, don't get me wrong, a ton. And we were fundraising as well. But then there was a point where she says, okay, I've got to go into director mode now. I'm like,
yeah,
okay. And then myself and the ADs and our technical director put our heads together and like, we have to take this off of her plate now. And now we
Yeah,
run
and
all that so that she can do her thing. And
yeah.
now started space and have these organic moments.
So you
and
said, yeah,
go ahead.
you said you had things that the like a longer version in your head, and you have a flashback scene in the film, and
Yeah.
I'm assuming you want to go back to in like that old relationship, right?
Yeah.
And yeah,
I would love to show the relationship between the ladies. Like,
yeah,
I would love to see what their life was before. And then what's fascinating to me is transition just in general, not just gender. And so,
sure,
how do people deal with transitions? How do we deal with change?
yeah,
And I would love to see the before, during, and after. Um, and that's what this gives. It's a slice kind of in the beginning of the middle,
yeah,
where we don't know if they're going to get together afterwards, but I would love to see what they were like as a lesbian couple before and what they both took on together. The script alludes to that they were protesting and pretty out, with who they were, and not shy about it. And their parents knew and didn't seem like it was accepted. And, all of the things that a lot of gay people have to go through that isn't copacetic, and how they stuck together, and then how they pulled apart. Because I don't know if you caught this, but there's one line that Nicole's character sticks in the relationship for a year
yeah,
during his transition,
Trying to be a part of the process.
trying to do it, trying to stay in love, trying to be supportive. And when I was sending this out to get funding and talking to a lot of people in the community, we just ran into many couples that had been in this, and some
yeah,
stayed together and some didn't, you know.
I mean, the same thing happens for straight couples if one of them wants to explore, other identities, and it can happen. And
yeah. Well, you can argue that this is a metaphor for change,
thank
right? Like you said that people like really, I'm sure you said you're a therapist and you do like couples. I'm assuming you do couples therapy, which is a good cash cow, one would assume, because there's
I,
always
I,
like,
I do individual couples and groups, but
I'm just saying that
I don't really look at it as a
I
cash.
know I'm sorry, I was just being I basically what I'm trying to say is that there's a lot of in my
Look, put it this way,
tendency,
Matt. I
yeah,
will never be out of a job
yeah, that's
unless
basically what I'm trying to say. It's like,
people
well,
turn
yeah,
on AI and talk to that stupid thing forever.
that's what I'm
So
trying to say. It's like it's a get like it will never stop. There'll always be therapy for couples, basically, right? So.
there's always anxiety, it seems to be in this
Well, and I'm
stress-filled.
assuming a lot of it is about change too, right? Where we're there's one partner
Well, people
grows
don't
in a different
come.
level, right? Yeah,
People don't come to a therapist if they don't want to change. That's just what it is. Like,
yeah.
nobody comes to me and says I have nothing to change. So,
I
couples
figured that some
forget.
people just want things to be this like they were in the past. Like they don't want one partner like is moving on doing different things, and the other
Mhm.
partner just wants it to be the same, like she does in the film, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
you got to bring in another level here. We're
yeah,
sitting historically at an inflection point in our world right now where the world in 5 years will not resemble the world we're living today.
Yeah.
The advent of, if you listen to the leading minds in artificial intelligence, for example, I mean, there's change happening on all levels, but that alone, the world will look completely different. Relationships will be affected, jobs will be affected, the climate, politics, everything is being affected. So it's almost like we're in the next industrial revolution. And that is very anxiety producing for a lot of people who, some of them, I suppose, can't wait for new things, but most people, it can be very unsettling. And
Yeah,
we're
it's
feeling,
scary. It's like people don't like that. It scares the crap out of people, right? The unknown,
that's right.
right? So,
Yeah, change is really hard for people. What I like to say to people is, I don't think change is hard for people. I think surprising change is hard for people. If I said, I'm going to change my career, I'm thinking about it. But then if somebody just yanks it out from me, that's a change I don't like. So when I see couples, and this is kind
okay.
of how I built these two characters on, is that a lot of couples don't tell their partner why and how and when they're going to change and what that looks like. In this situation, the one partner, Emmett's character, Paolo, he did say, I'm changing. And she did try to stay in the process. Astrid tried to stay and had a realization that she couldn't do it. And that's really honest, you know?
Mhm.
So he didn't surprise it on her and say, oh, where were you? And he was at the doctor getting a hormone shot and lied to
Right.
her. He didn't do that.
Yeah.
Their relationship was built on honesty, and I wanted to kind of highlight that in case I go back to do more of this piece.
And I think that that's one reason this film is successful, in my view, is that we really saw both of their viewpoints in this.
Yeah.
We really liked each character, and they were both trying to be their true selves. And what happens when that just, doesn't work? And that
Yeah.
was the profound question that started, at the core of this message. And so there are couples that I think we know in our lives, and I know in our practice, where things just don't work out, and it's nobody's fault.
Yeah.
And then how do, but now we've got the gender switch. How do you navigate that? And that
Mm.
becomes like a metaphor for how do you navigate
Well,
change?
and also the question of what is love?
Right.
What is your definition of love might not be mine.
Mhm.
And it's a huge concept. So love, I don't believe love is unconditional. Absolutely not. It's always come with conditions. Some people have it less than others, but
Yeah.
it is an individual thing, like if it's external, if it's sexual, if it's gender biased, if it's ageism, if it's any kind of physicality that changes our feelings, or can we truly fall in love with the person inside?
Yeah. No, it's interesting, and it all depends on, our upbringing, and there's so many factors involved, right? So, because just yeah, I can't, yeah. It's just it's a there's interest. This is an interesting nugget to explore. There's more in this kind of concept, and I think I've seen it a few times, but not like in depth. I think there's something here, right, for like a larger kind of series or feature for sure, right?
Well,
And I
thank
think your
you.
dog agrees as well because it's
He
barking.
does. Sorry
Archie.
about that. No, I really got to say that
Oh
you
God.
guys, sorry,
Yeah,
your group, whoever your people are that have been leaving the feedback, we're
yeah,
so appreciative of how insightful and perceptive, and
yeah.
that you cared enough to make detailed comments, and we're really, really listening.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
There's
then,
a car outside.
okay. And then, dovetailing with that, I just want to give a shout out to all our Canadian friends and say we love you, Canada. Thank you. Please,
And if there's any single men that want to get married to take me away from this country, please just call me. I might even pay for it.
you
Well,
understand
I
the
think
people
we
here
have
really
like
love our neighbors.
our borders are open. Like you're gonna have to show your ID, but I think you can come
Archie.
in. Yeah. So without a
Don't be
problem,
surprised.
right? So,
Hey, I honeymoon in British Columbia, so there.
so like it's if you could help the economy, then you can come in for sure, right? So it
I'm
looks like you
back.
can.
Well, I won't say it on camera, but yeah,
Okay.
the things are in the works. Um, yeah,
But at
so
the same time, and remember, things change so quickly in the States, right? Like,
Right.
10 months from now, you're going to have Congress and Senate majority, and things shift. And then in 4 years from now, like things happen so quickly, right? It's like yin
I
and
don't.
yang in the States, right? You got Obama, then you had Trump. It's like how polarizing are those two people?
You got it.
So
Yeah, but there's some there's a lot of damage.
I know, I know, I know.
We're gonna
There's
we're
just
gonna
a lot
be
of damage.
we're gonna be healing from this trauma for quite some time, but I
Yeah.
do believe we'll turn it around and we'll be friends again.
No. Yeah, no, for sure. It's just that like I think it's the lying that's the worst. It's like
Oh,
it's like the like something that's right in front of you and they're like, "No, that didn't happen." Like talk
there's
about
a
like the worst type of like gaslighting, you know what I mean?
It's severely gaslighting
Yeah.
and really, very bizarre, and there's a lot of psychopathy that's going on and a lot of mental illness that's not just happening with the leadership, but the millions of people that are drinking the Kool-Aid
Yeah.
and giving a great excuse for the things that we actually believe in as artists and people, which is the rights of human rights. Like that kind of comes first. And one of my predominant reasons for making film, going back to Hollywood and making film, is because theater lasts a blip where
Hmm.
we
right.
do it and it doesn't get recorded and it's just in the audience that sees it, and we wanted to do something far reaching, and we want to champion causes of demographics that
That's
Yeah.
right.
that are
That are
marginalized.
underrepresented, marginalized,
Yeah, because you
underattached.
don't like a lot of times you grow up in certain areas, even though we have the internet and we have all this information, we're still in our bubbles. And
That's
if
right.
sometimes, so many times, like even my lifetime, where like a show, like a movie like Philadelphia, I'm from a small town, kind of like, oh, that's interesting that you know what I mean, or like, well, obviously Will and Grace, you know what I mean? Like these shows are like very mainstream, but they're important because it shows people that there's a different life out there, right?
For
And if
sure.
it
I mean,
doesn't
we
come to
broke.
them, then they, you know what I mean? If it
That's right.
they're not going to go to them, though. Then the
Oh,
TV and
right. The
film
power
comes.
of film, like Boys Don't Cry, I think was 20 something years ago that Kimberly Pierce directed. And that like opened up
Yeah,
the world view
and it
on,
wasn't a
on,
happy ending either. That film. That film was devastating, right?
right. It really
Yeah,
affected me. That's one of them that
yeah,
stayed with me, you know,
I mean, you're right because we grew up in Southern California in a very liberal
liberal.
environment,
yeah,
and we've been around film families and celebrities, and we are in diversity. We have an awareness, and I remember the first time I traveled out of California, it was
yeah.
literally shocking, and that was many years ago. I think it's getting even more polarized now.
Oh
Well,
Obviously,
yeah,
we're
because of
100%.
Humpty
right. Well, not Humpty Dumpty is only bringing out what is already there. I'm sorry,
Yeah,
we didn't get way off on the politics, but
Yeah, we're probably sorry.
yeah,
right, but I
Yeah.
think you're understanding that fundamentally at the base of what we do is we always have something to say that we think is important at the time, and that we think will elevate the general conversation. We want to have these
We
conversations.
want to be provocative. Like,
Hmm.
please ask questions. Like, if you've never met a trans person, most people that have seen it, just do a little shout out. The editor saved this film, so Larry Blumenthal
Right.
like saved our film for a lot of reasons,
mhm,
and he knows Joel Zwick, who's a very prominent director, and Joel was able to see it and had super positive comments, and was one of several people that thought that it was the only thing that they didn't like was that Emmett was too masculine and there would never be a woman, not knowing that Emmett is actually trans male.
yeah.
So,
That's interesting. Yeah, yeah,
so from a kind of a white straight
yeah,
um, comment of a certain generation, they couldn't understand that Emmett was trans. So I
yeah,
told Emmett, who was both kind of pleased and shocked and
yeah,
like all these things, and I said, you're too passing. Like,
Right.
it's really interesting, but the education, my point is that we can hit this on an educational level,
yeah,
like to not assume what you're seeing is what really is.
yeah.
Mhm.
100%. But number one, you got to entertain, and you did. Yeah, if you entertain and not educate, don't tell people what to think and feel, then it just comes to them organically. Then that's the way to go. So
Fantastic.
Well, we
Agree.
really appreciate you and your group, and
thank you.
what you guys do is a lot of work, and I can't say enough about your team.
Thank you so much. Well, on that note, let's talk again when you guys make your next film, and
Well,
either
we
this
got one
one, a bigger
coming out
version of
next
this, or
year.
another film you got going on.
Okay.
Awesome.
All right.
All right.
Thank you
Thanks,
so
Thank you so
Matthew.
much.
much.
Appreciate it.
Bye
Ciao.
bye.